What's up, everyone? We are back with another video and a motor. So I got the motor back earlier this week and I decided to put it together at work so I could use some measuring tools and just really take my time and go through and do it right. Devin, my boss, helped me out, helped me do all the measurements and everything, and we had a few discrepancies, but I think we got it all figured out and everything fit really good. The engine spun really nice, nicer than it did the first time I put it together, which I did have this line honed, or actually it was line bored. And then just went through, put it together, put new rings, new main bearings, obviously, new rod bearings, new same cam bearings. There was nothing wrong with those ones, so there was really no reason to take them out. Same heads, same everything. It's basically the same exact motor, just fresh and different crank though. This is the crank out of the aluminum motor from last year, which there was nothing wrong with it. The only reason that engine came out is because of the head threads. But we're gonna get to work today and put this in the car. I don't know if I'll have enough time to fire it up today. I gotta leave early afternoon, but at least if I can get it in there, we'll be looking pretty good. As long as everything goes nice and smooth, hopefully we can make it to Cache the Creek, which is next Saturday. So that would be super awesome. I've never made it to the first Cache at the Creek before with my own car, so I would very much like to do that. So I'm gonna work hard here and try to get this engine in, fire it up. Hopefully we got some good oil pressure, and hopefully everything goes well. Oh, one other thing I did. This is kind of a good tool to use if you do this frequently. Where is it? So I'm sure in some old videos you guys have seen my engine priming tool. Just a big piece of PVC with an air fitting on top and then just a hose on the bottom. So this motor killed bearings, so it sent bearing material through everything. So obviously that's no good for the turbo really. Hopefully it lives through it, but I did decide that I was gonna use that to push oil out of the turbo. So I hooked it up to my main feed line right here. And then I just put the drain down there in a pan and just pumped a whole quart of oil through it. And it definitely pushed some bearing material and stuff out. And I just spun it by hand just a few times just to cycle it through. Everything still feels really nice in here. I mean, exactly how it did after I rebuilt it. So there really shouldn't be anything there, but just wanted to make sure you get all the bearings out, or bearing material out of everything, because that's kind of a game changer. You get that stuff going through the turbo, then you kill the turbo, then you send it in the engine, and then you still kill the engine. So not fun stuff, but I think we'll be all right now. So I'm gonna get a little camera set up here and we're gonna go ahead and put this motor in. So follow along. All right, so this video is super jacked up, but as you've seen there, that was the first fire up. I'm like a week behind on where I kind of intended to be, so I've kind of just been hurrying and had some important stuff at work to do and driving around and all kinds of nonsense. But so that was the first fire up, and I know I cut the video off because I kind of panicked. I thought the car sounded bad, which it did. And then my dad was like, oh, you should look at the oil pressure. And so I ran over and looked at the oil pressure. So that's why I cut the video short. But long story short, it did sound bad and it had good oil pressure, so that's nice. But looked at the EGTs and 2 cylinders were like ice cold and all the other ones were, 800 degrees or whatever. So I shut it off and we started messing around. I pulled the plugs out and they were just bone dry. So I'm like, we got some sort of injector problem. So then I texted Adam from Streetcar Injection. You can see right there's his logo. It might be backwards, but I'll say some more about it. And I'll actually tag his Facebook in the description below. But I texted him and asked him if he was busy doing injectors, and he said he had some time to fit me in. So I met him after work and dropped him off, and he had them cleaned up, and 6 and 8, which were the holes that weren't firing, both of them were stuck. So big shout out to him. Streetcar Injection, that is. You can find him on Facebook, Instagram. He does killer work. Always been taking care of me. Hooked me up with some little different size O-ring, since this thing's always been a pain to put the rails on, and it just fit like a glove and everything's perfect. So we're all rolling again, so big shout out to him. Go check him out if you need injector work done. He's always treated me really well. So now we fast forward, it would be one day, I believe, and then it'll be 2 days. So we fast forward 2 days, and then now you get to see the next fire up. So there you go, it's running and it has oil pressure. So that was super nice to see, and all the cylinders were hot. So super awesome, just really stoked that this thing is running again. And I mean, it's just been a grind. I mean, I know I haven't been making a lot of videos, but it's just been getting after it. I mean, we spent all day putting the motor together, and then I spent half the day on Saturday putting it in here, and then I didn't really feel so great. The river got the best of me on Saturday night. So then Sunday I just kind of messed around with it a little bit, and for whatever reason I decided to take the throttle cable off, which was super dumb, just because most of the time then the cable's too short, so I had to replace the actual cable. So that held me up a whole nother day, and then we got it all the way ready to be fired that night, and that was when we had the injector problem. So then tear the rails apart, you know, engine only ran for like 2 minutes, but then got all that stuff figured out and put the injectors back in, and she runs good. So then, you didn't see it, but I went for a little drive, just not do anything crazy. I always do an oil change like almost immediately. So it ran for probably 20 minutes outside, and then I just took it for like a 10-mile drive, came back, changed oil right away, and everything looked pretty good. I assume there's probably just a little bit of stuff floating around in the turbo or whatever. And I did flush the turbo, but you know, that stuff, it just hides. It hides everywhere, but just a couple little tiny pieces, otherwise everything was golden. So then we put the Schaefer's oil in. I just ran it on VR1 for the first one, and now we got the Schaefer's 2050 Micro Moly back in it, and fired it up again. Still had great oil pressure, everything was good. So then now we fast forward to today, where I did a little street driving, kind of testing out, and you can check that out now. So first pull done, just kind of sitting here looking at the log, letting it cool off. Interesting thing, 6 and 8, which were the ones that had bad injectors, were like quite a bit cooler than all the other holes, but it don't sound like it's missing at all. So I don't really know what to think of that. I mean, those sensors are kind of weird, so I don't know if I just got a bad connection in there, because I mean they're all relatively even when you're cruising, but yeah, that was kind of bizarre. So I'm gonna have to look into that, and I'm definitely putting fresh plugs in it, so something that we can adjust to. But other than that, it sounded great. It felt like it was running good, but fuel pressure was stellar. That was about 14 pounds, so I turned it up a little bit, and we'll kind of just go over the data and see what everything looks like. But it sure don't sound like it's got a miss to it. I mean, I've heard that noise before when something's not firing, and this don't sound like it, so I don't know, but we'll see. So I'm gonna make another short rip here and yeah, find out what happens. So as you can see, that last pull, it was wicked up quite a bit more. It was a lot faster, a lot more power. That was like 22 PSI, I think, 22 or 23. And it ran really nice. It seemed like it hiccuped right up before the shift, which these are used spark plugs. I just threw them in here just to fire it up. So I'm gonna switch the plugs in it. And it was giving me some super weird EGT data on 6 and 8, again, the ones that had stuck injectors. So not really sure what to exactly think about that. So I'm just going to pull the valve cover and make sure that all the rockers are tight and everything is in there properly and everything looks okay, and make sure it's all good. And then we're going to go. It was holding fuel pressure exactly how it's supposed to on 22 pounds. So I've heard that some regulators just are weird and they just don't like a certain PSI. So maybe whatever my base pressure was, it just didn't dig it, which doesn't make no sense, but maybe that's just what it is. And I also cleaned the filter, so that definitely could have helped it too. But turned the base pressure down. Now it seems to have plenty of fuel, not struggling at all. It was running like 0% on the trims, so that is super awesome. And yeah, I'm just gonna change plugs, do some kind of random stuff, and it'll be good. I'm probably gonna swap those probes with a couple other ones and see if maybe that's what's going on, if the probes are bad and they're just giving me a false reading, because the data's like really wavy and all the other ones are nice and smooth, and I just can't, you know, that's just kind of weird to me that they'd be that wavy. There must just be something wrong. And keep in mind, this is a budget EGT system, which basically what it means is you just buy the Holly box, which is still expensive, but they sell the probes for a lot of money. And these are Amazon China probes. They're like 10 bucks a piece, maybe even less than that. So I have a couple extras, so I'll just redo those ones, put new ones in them, and we'll see if anything changes anyway. And then when I check the rockers, we'll know that all that's good, which it should be, because I went through everything and got it all right. But, you know, I guess stuff is easy to miss, but I just really doubt it. But then we can check plugs and stuff like that and make sure the plugs look like they're working. And I'll just kind of go over it and make sure those two are all right, just to make sure we got nothing funky going on. I don't want to hurt this thing, you know. Been having lots of issues lately, and I just like to enjoy it. Another interesting piece of data is this intercooler scrubs like 280 degrees off of it. It's 92 degrees out right now on 23 PSI. At the very end of the pull, the pre-intercooler temp was 296 or something like that, and the pressure was 26 pounds. The car was making 23.5 pounds, and the temperature was 109. So that thing's working pretty damn good for being a $400, $300 intercooler or whatever it is. I mean, it was working really nice. So that's super awesome to see. I mean, it's damn near ambient temperature, and that was the second pull on it. So I did the first one on 10 pounds, and then I sat for maybe 10 minutes and looked at the data log, and then did the second one shortly after. We were going 140, 145 by the time I was done with it, so things definitely working good. Everything seems to be on the up and up, and the thing seems to be running pretty well. So I think Cash at the Creek is going to happen. I'll go over a little bit more tomorrow and make sure it's all good. But yeah, I'm just stoked to have it going well. You know, it's nice to, sometimes it gets to be a little bit of a headache when you're just constantly working on it. And, you know, we're into June and I haven't even raced yet. But hopefully now we can get out and have a little fun and try the new stator. And hopefully that really makes a difference. Just based on the logs, I feel like it's going to be pretty happy, but you never really know until you get to the track. One other update, which I'll do a video you'll probably see that next week sometime. But my boat had a bad fuel tank, so I had a new one made. I didn't really film any of that stuff, but we're going to take it out on the lake and test it out. So I'll set up some cameras and we can go for a little run. That'll be kind of fun. Got to start enjoying the summer. I haven't gotten to use the boat yet since it's needed a fuel tank, and I've only driven the car 5 times because it wasted the motor. So time to enjoy some of these toys since we only get 3 months of nice weather around here. But I think that's going to wrap up this video. I'll probably, if I do anything with this tomorrow, I'll probably just put it in the racing video if we end up going racing. It's kind of looking like rain, which is sketchy, and I really hope it don't rain. I mean, it's bone dry and all we do is need rain right now, but of course the weekend that you want to get out to the track and have some fun, there's freaking rain in the forecast. So whatever though, that's Mother Nature, I guess. So I'm gonna keep on keeping on, and it is Thursday today, and hopefully I'm making a video on Saturday and we're at the racetrack. That would be pretty freaking awesome. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and we will see you in a few days, hopefully.